Hey everybody, I'm your host Big Arm, and we have a special guest today here, Representative Jordan Harris, and this is our show, Just a Conversation, because we will have just a conversation. For those that don't know, please, Representative, let everyone know who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. I'm Jordan Harris. I'm the state representative of the 186th Legislative District, which means I'm a member of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. And I've been in the PA House for 6 years now and going into my 4th term. I represent parts of South and Southwest Philadelphia. So Point Breeze, Grays Ferry, Graduate Hospital, and King Sessing are parts of my district. Just this week I was elected to be the whip, which is the
Congratulations.
second. Thank you. The second in command inside the Democratic House of Representatives.
Exactly. So what will your responsibilities be? People ask the question, say, hey, what's going on in the city? Like, what will you be doing to help out with the city, pretty much?
Sure. So as a member of the House, the General Assembly is the Pennsylvania House and the Pennsylvania Senate. And we work together with the governor to create all of the state laws. And in addition to that, we are responsible for the state's budget. So last year's budget was $33 billion. So
$33 billion.
yeah. So that's for Department of Education, Department of Corrections, Department of Human Services, Department of Environmental Protection. You have the conservation people that do all of the parks that the state owns. So it's $33 billion to fund a variety of things throughout the state, as well as updating and changing all of the different laws that are here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Nice, man. That's awesome, man. That's great. So I'm guessing you're a native from Philadelphia, pretty much.
Sure.
Born and raised here.
Yeah, born and raised in South Philly.
Okay.
I tell people all the time I have the pleasure of representing in the House the neighborhood that I grew up in. So,
oh, wow, okay.
My mother still lives in the same house that I was raised in and is very active in that area of my district. And I live in a house that my uncle sold to me, my great uncle sold to me.
Wow.
That he bought back in the 70s. So I'm South Philadelphia born and raised.
Well, okay. So which high school did you go to?
So I went out to Southwest. I graduated from John Bartram High School back in 2002, and I left Philly to go out to Lancaster County, where I went to get my undergrad at Millersville University.
Nice. Okay,
And,
I went to Bloomsburg. Okay, nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
state
yeah.
system.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So,
the PSAC.
so yeah, I spent 4 years at Millersville, and I'm actually on the Council of Trustees currently at Millersville.
Nice.
So I go
Okay.
back,
Okay.
I go back and forth at least every quarter to spend time with the Council of Trustees, overseeing the university and seeing how things go.
So were you any sports, any activities at Millersville, or what did you do?
So funny thing is, I played football in high school, and I did go to Millersville to play football. I lasted like a week, and I was just like, these guys is way too big. Look, I'm 5'6", and while that made it in Philadelphia, that was not going to make it in the PSAC.
Okay.
So I focused on my books, and at Millersville, though, I was very involved in student government, and I was a member of the Student Senate, which was the student body organization that governs the university, and just got involved in a whole lot of different things at the university.
So what was your major at Millersville?
Sure, I was a government and political affairs major with a minor in African American studies.
African American studies. Wow. Okay. So what were you thinking about when you said I'm gonna pick this major? Like, was this always your goal? What were you thinking that you wanted to do?
So no, first of all, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a police officer because I used to watch all these detective shows on TV, and I just thought that was cool. I wanted to whip out a badge, you know, like LAPD. You know, you watch all those shows growing up. So I thought that was cool. And then I wanted to be a lawyer. And I still actually may do that, but I wanted to be a lawyer because I've always been intrigued by a person who can use the law to help liberate people. So that was always important to me. But what happened, how I got into politics, I was in high school. When I was in high school, I went to Bartram, but I was at the Motivation Building, which was out 78th and Buick, and they wanted to close that building and merge it. And I just didn't think that was the best idea for all of the young people that were there. Now, I was a senior, so it wasn't going to affect me. But I thought it was the wrong move. So what I did was I organized students and parents and teachers, and all of us worked together, and we advocated to keep the school open. Long story short, we were able to do that. But in that process, I met a guy who was a member of the state senate. His name is Anthony Hardy Williams. He was the state senator for the 8th district then,
Nice.
and still is. And he offered me an internship in his office the summer before I went to college.
Nice.
And it was there that I really learned and understood politics and how you can use it to positively benefit neighborhoods. So when I went to school, I was sold. That's what I wanted to learn. That's what I wanted to do. And it worked out for me.
Man, that's awesome, man. So what year did you graduate?
I graduated from Millersville in 2006.
Oh, okay, in 2006. So you were part of the new generation after Y2K, pretty much.
Yep.
And you said, you know, I'm not going to play football. I'm going to get into politics. And you said, so when you graduated, what was your first thing? Did you do an intern? Like, what did you do when you graduated?
So when I graduated from college, actually, my first job was a teacher. I taught.
you taught?
I taught middle school social studies.
Okay.
Actually, I taught 4th grade first, and I got to tell you, I give kudos to any elementary school teacher. If you're teaching 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th grade, kudos to you, because I couldn't last in 4th grade. Everything was, he stole my pencil, she's digging in her nose, he pulled my hair. I couldn't do it. I would tell jokes and they wouldn't get my jokes.
Yeah,
It was just, I just couldn't do it. But I got a job teaching middle school social studies. Now at the time, I'm 22 years old, so I'm teaching 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. So this is like teaching a little brother or a
Right.
little sister. And it actually worked out very well for me. I enjoyed teaching social studies, particularly to middle school students. And I enjoyed it so much that I went back to school at night and got a master's degree in education.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I was sold on staying in the classroom and teaching until I got frustrated with some of the things that I thought I wasn't in a position to change with regards to education. So I left the classroom and I started to work at the school district of Philadelphia, but still in education. And I got frustrated there.
Wow, okay.
And I went and I worked in the Nutter administration.
Okay.
I was the youth commission. I was the executive director of the youth commission for Philadelphia for a few years, and I got frustrated there, and said I needed to be in another position where I could make a change and have an impact, and that's when I decided to run for the legislature.
Right, okay. So you pretty much got, when you say the Nutter administration, for those who don't know, what is that? What is the
Sure.
Nutter administration?
I worked when Michael Nutter was the mayor of Philadelphia.
Okay.
I worked in that administration.
And what was your role directly?
I was the executive director of the youth commission. So my job was to advise the mayor and members of city council on issues dealing with youth and young adults in the city.
Wow, so that's a huge transition from dealing with the children to get into the politics. So you said, you know what, I'm done with it. So what was the part about the children you said, you know what, I need to take a break? Did you feel like you wasn't helping enough, or did you feel like, what?
Well, no, I felt like I have a tremendous amount of respect for teachers who are in the classroom every day. But for me, I thought there were a lot of structural changes in education that needed to be made that I wasn't in a position to make. In addition to that, I was just, frustrated with how we were treating young people in general. So I saw the position in administration working with the mayor and council members as a larger platform by which I could have a greater impact.
Ah, beautiful, nice.
And we were able to do that. I mean, we did some really cool and creative things when I worked for the city. I mean, we had, that was when we had all of these flash mobs going on in Philadelphia, and people
Right.
were getting assaulted
Okay.
by young people. And there was one approach where it was just like shut down the city, keep young people in their homes, keep them away from Center City. And my approach was give young people things to do, give them safe, supervised activities. And that whole summer, what we did, we kept rec centers open later, some of our larger rec centers in the city.
Okay.
And my office actually planned several events throughout the city where we invited and encouraged young people to come out. But then we had adult supervisors who were able to be there and help encourage and foster the interaction with young people. And that summer we didn't have any more incidences of violence with regards to the flash mob. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of change the narrative on how we view and see our young people. Far too often when things happen, we blame the young people. And yes, they play a responsibility, but I don't understand how you can blame an 11-year-old for doing something and not blame the adults or hold the adults accountable who are supposed to be in their lives. So, you know, for me, it's a community response that is helpful with regards to our young people. So, you know, all of those things kind of led me to working in the administration to try to help how we deal with young people in our
That's
city.
awesome. That's awesome. So how did that transition, like how did you get that opportunity? Did you write a letter? Like how did you, like what was your first step to being able to be in that position when you first left working with children and left the school system? Like did you write a letter to say, hey, you know, like how did that go? So people that want to know, like how did you get into that position?
Well, like I told you, I interned in a state senator's office, so I had been involved in politics and worked on a couple campaigns. So when the job was posted, I applied and got an interview, and they hired me. Now,
Man, that's
I knew a
beautiful.
couple of the folks that were, you know, doing the interview because of my previous work. And it just provided me the opportunity to serve just in a greater capacity.
So you had a nice transition pretty much because you was already working with like a family pretty much per se. Okay, so what are some of the things you have going like right now that you have coming up, current events and things that you?
Sure. So as a member of the General Assembly in the House, just this past year, we passed a bill that I was one of the co-authors of, called the Clean Slate Bill, which is it was House Bill, at that time it was House Bill 1419. It was signed into law by the governor on June the 28th, and it deals with criminal record expungement and automatic sealing criminal records. So the law, the way it stands now, is people with misdemeanor 2s and 3s that are of a nonviolent nature. After the period of 10 years, those things will be automatically sealed on their criminal records. Those who have misdemeanor 1s, they now have a pathway where they can go to court and have a judge seal those things on their record. And what that means is that when you apply for a job and they run your record, those crimes would not show up. And you know, for us, it was a big win for several reasons. One, the automatic piece, which means for M2s and M3s, you don't even have to go to court anymore. It'll happen automatically. Two, it was the first of its kind in the nation. So just this past week, I was in D.C. With the Center for American Progress about the national push that we're about to do to take the law that we did in Pennsylvania and spread it to all 50 states. Or all 49 other states, so that this is something that can happen across the country. The reason why it's important is because, as many folks know, a lot of our brothers and sisters who have criminal records, though they've changed their life around, they can't become gainfully employed because when somebody runs a record, you know, the application gets tossed out the window, and that's just not what I think we should be doing as a government. You can't believe in rehabilitation if you don't believe in rehabilitating a person's record so that they can become gainfully employed.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So for me, you know, that's one of the big things we've been working on is criminal justice reform and how we deal with the criminal justice system here in Pennsylvania.
That's nice, man. I appreciate that, man. Wow. I mean, so for those that want to get a hold of you, where's your office? Like, you know.
Sure. I have 2 offices in Philadelphia, 1310 Point Breeze Avenue in South Philly, and I have another one on 21st in Snyder in South Philadelphia. Or they can call our office at 215-952-3378, or I'm on all of the social media platforms. So Instagram, Jordan A. Harris, Facebook, Rep. Jordan Harris, and Twitter at Rep. Harris.
Man, that's awesome, man. Thanks for coming out, man.
No doubt.
Really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, family.
Representative Jordan Harris, everybody. Here we go, just a conversation.